In the news tonight, politicians, religious leaders and those of the civil society have raised their voices louder against a protest march called for by the MRC party for September 22. Bookshops, supermarkets and hawkers say they now have every school item that parents and students will need for the school year. They are waiting for buyers. And the Islamic Cultural Association in Cameroon installs a new executive with calls for peace and stability in the country. Good evening and welcome to the 7:30 News. I am Benin Bumagana in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
We begin this evening by saying the civil society and actors in the informal sector have been very vocal this week against calls for a protest march on September 22. The condemnations come from all parts of the country. Ebenezer Kanga summarizes some of the condemnations in the following report.
The civil society and actors in the informal sector, like commercial motorbike riders and hawkers, came out powerfully this week to condemn the call by the national president of the MRC, Maurice Kamto, for an insurrection in Cameroon. The mobilization of motorbike riders in Douala was exceptional as the bikers came out in huge numbers to say an emphatic no to disorder.
We have gathered here to prove to the nation, to the government, Cameroon, that we as a motor taxi, we are all together, we are one, and we stand behind the government to protect and to generate and promote peace.
It's not by going out or not by marching that will bring the solution.
In Yaoundé, delegations of leaders of commercial motorbike riders and hawkers met with the governor of the Central Region and took a firm commitment not to allow disorder pass through their sector of activities. For the civil society, the association called More Women in Politics launched an appeal to women and children not to take part in any demonstration.
Of no use letting your children to go out rioting, causing disorder, that at the end of the day, you as a parent, you as a mother, you want to bear the pains.
The civil society and actors in the informal sector are therefore categorical. The call for an insurrection should not be heeded to.
Religious leaders in Cameroon have also condemned calls by some individuals and political parties for an uprising in the country. CRTV's Kilian Da spoke with some religious signatories and edited their reactions in the following report.
Disobedience to state institutions is not only unlawful, but also against divine order.
What I can say is to call upon every citizen, every believer, not to obey to disorder, to obey to the will of God, to obey to divine law by making peace.
Christians are instructed on the obedience of authority in Paul's letters to the Romans.
Romans chapter 13 is very clear to me that all subjects should respect the authority, that everybody should be obedient to the government.
Religious leaders see the danger of insurrectional gathering at the moment beyond doctrines of faith.
Almighty God Himself is peace. From Him comes peace.
Politically, the country is seriously hungry and thirsty for peace. From the social perspective, I think that the circumstances in which we are now does not really favor an insurrection or a march. We are still inside COVID-19.
God at His time solves all problems.
And traditional rulers in the East region have condemned calls for protest in the country on the 22nd of September. These custodians of the tradition in the East region say Cameroon cannot be built in an atmosphere of chaos and egomaniacal disposition. Tala LT tells us more.
Rulers in the East, who have an active part to play in the first ever regional elections in Cameroon, say no to calls for a total boycott and a protest march which has been circulating on different social media platforms.
The call for an uprising circulating on the social media is of no interest to us in the Upper Nyong and the East region. Our main concern is for peace to reign. Our aim is to construct the nation. We will do all to bar the way for those with selfish ambitions. If you cannot go to the polls and win elections, we do not think power can be won on the streets.
While counting on the responsibility and patriotism of their populations, these traditional rulers continue preparing for the elections in a calm and serene atmosphere.
Artists in Yaoundé have distanced themselves from calls to insurrection, insisting that they stand for a Cameroon that respects Republican values and ideologies. The artists made a declaration today in Yaoundé, as we hear in this report by Manuela Vernier.
They are using their voices today not to entertain but to push forward a salient message, that of the respect of Republican values in a country they owe all to. It's honor they have sung. A fatherland dear to them are not ready to see this bruise through insurrection. Musicians in Yaoundé have refused to be mute.
With our instruments, with our voices, with whatsoever we can use, as an artist we use it to promote peace. He who says peace says unity.
Turning their backs on calls for violence in Cameroon, yes, but more so inviting Cameroonians to stand for peace.
All we want is peace, and we want to invite all our brothers and sisters to go for that which is peaceful, because we understand the importance of a peaceful environment that can permit you to develop yourself.
It is very important for our people to live in together in peace, one love.
In a declaration, these singers, songwriters, producers and musical promoters in Yaoundé have chosen to stand on the right side of history by preaching peace, representing peace and standing for peace.
The National Union for Democracy and Progress, NUDP, will take part in the upcoming regional council elections in 4 out of the 10 regions of the country. The national president of the opposition party, Bello Buba Maigari, made the declaration in Yaoundé after a session of the National Investiture Commission of the party. Let's now listen to Bello Buba Maigari in this excerpt selected by Gilbert Ongene.
NUDP party will participate in the regional elections. This is a commitment that goes along the line with all we have done since the reintroduction of multipartyism. We have local councils in 4 regions of our country: the East, the Adamawa, the North, and the extreme north. We will not allow anything that will cause more trouble in our country. We prefer to seek the solutions through dialogue.
Another political party leader, the national chairman of the Front for the National Salvation of Cameroon, has lambasted calls for insurrection in the country. Issa Chiruma Bakari, in a press declaration, called on the president of the MRC party to desist from any actions that can open doors of the country to predators. Hear ye him in this excerpt edited by Sidonie Jobmandi.
Minister President Kamto. President Biya is leading this nation by the will of God through the people. In my capacity as the chairman of my party, we made a commitment through thick and thin. No matter what happened, what may, we have decided to support him. By the Lord, Up until now, we are successful. This nation today is at peace, but by what you want to initiate, if it is possible to stop it, I advise you strongly, don't be arsonist. Be a firefighter. Be among those who protect the nation, not those who are out to burn it out.
The protest calls for by the MRC party was also planned for today in France and America. In France, Cameroonians of all walks of life and associations came out in their numbers to meet the ambassador André Magnus Ekumu to express their love for peace and stability back in their beloved country. It was also an opportunity for them to get to meet the new ambassador who spent years during his studies in France. The fellowship was also one of patriotism for a country they so pray for, and they continue praying that the peace that has reigned in Cameroon for this long will continue. Over in the Washington, D.C., in the United States of America, the Cameroonian embassy over there put up messages to express the wishes of Cameroonians there. The embassy is open to all and is home to all. Don't destroy it, for it belongs to future generations too. The call to respect the embassy building and preserve it is part of the embassy's response against calls for a protest by the MRC party for Cameroonians to protest even in the United States of America. A few persons, however, attempted strike action, but the attempted action mustered little or no heat and made no significance. Back in Cameroon and over in the southwest region, traditional rulers in the southwest region say calling on Cameroonians to go to the streets for public manipulation is synonymous to a ploy to bring total chaos to the country. To them, Cameroon is a peaceful country and Cameroonians should assist in consolidating this virtue than calling for insurrection. Henry McCauley reports.
Like most of the chiefs in the Southwest region, the president of the Southwest Chiefs Conference, Chief Mafani Njie, says the Southwest has seen a lot in terms of suffering, that the region is not only grappling with the crisis, but also with the coronavirus. The reason why he argues, and strongly too, that the Southwest region is not ready for any other trouble, not at this time.
It should not bring us problems. Cameroon want to live in peace. We have been clamoring for peace. All along, everybody is crying for peace.
I think this is just a wicked action on the part of those who have called for this kind of demonstration, because it is not only political, but it is going to be very violent, and many lives will be lost. Those of us in the southwest region are only preparing the upcoming elections to ensure that the correct people are selected, and then for us finally to prepare to put in place the special status, which is a big gift of the President of the Republic to Southwest and Northwest.
The chiefs have therefore spoken, and their hope is that their subjects will surely listen.
And motorbike riders in Kribi in the South region have joined their ranks with their peers in Yaoundé and Douala to say no to any planned protest on September 22. They say they are against the protest and will do all to ensure peace in Kribi. Details with you, Cyril Noazeke in Kribi.
The entire Ocean Division, through the voice of its Senator Gregoire Mbamba, said no to any form of insurrection that is tantamount to disturbing the peaceful cohabitation of the law-abiding citizens of Cameroon. Recently, there have been calls by some Cameroonians to jeopardize state institutions, boycott elections, and many others. Behind their senator, the population of the Ocean Division stands firm.
We in Kribi are the defenders of the Republic. We are the ones to say no to disorder in this town. We cannot humiliate President Paul Biya in his own village. We say no. Anyone who does the contrary on the 22nd will face the consequences.
They understand that there is not development without peace. That is what I understand they say. There is not development without peace.
They have been called to shun all forms of destabilization and contribute to the success of the first ever regional elections upcoming by going to the polls. This patriotic act, the senator says, will help fast-track the decentralization process and empower local collectivities as wanted by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya.
And most political party leaders in Cameroon have said maintaining peace and stability is the main tenet for the political growth in the country. They are standing against calls from the MRC party for a protest march come September 22. Sidoni Jobmamdi read their declaration and now reports.
The political class are unanimous that a single political party can in no case take the initiative to turn everyone into elements of an insurrection.
Nobody, no Cameroonian, no matter who he is, can pretend to love this country more or better than any other one. All of us, we have a common responsibility to love this nation, to protect and to promote this nation.
Leaders of opposition political parties disassociate themselves from the announced public manifestation and vow to stand for the legitimate ruler of the nation.
We have a democratically elected president, and whosoever comes up with a plan to destabilize this country will face Article 114.
They are not only condemning the uprising call, but are also mobilized to make the plan fail.
Be among those who protect the nation, not those who are out to burn it out. Because if we destroy this nation, there is no any other place in the world, a spare part as a Cameroon, that we can substitute to replace this one.
For the political leaders, a public manifestation that can lead to the destruction of the country is unacceptable in a democratic system.
On to something else now. 15 more Cameroonian companies will henceforth be able to sell their products in the CEMAC sub-region at preferential rates. This has been made possible thanks to the collaboration between the CEMAC Commission and the government of Cameroon, granting them a license for that purpose. A ceremony to that effect was presided over by the Minister of Trade, Luc Magloan-Barga Tangana, as we hear in this report by Clarice Are Takang.
From cosmetics, liquors and foodstuff to construction material and wood, a wide range of Cameroonian goods are already present on sub-regional markets. This time, though, 15 more companies will be able to compete on fair trade terms with a host of others. This door of opportunity was opened thanks to cooperation between the CEMAC Commission and the government, with the Ministry of Trade in the driving seat. 210 new industrial products will thus enjoy preferential community rates, with a license making this possible to show for it.
Is the opportunity for our economic operators, for our companies to produce more, because they can move freely within the community, market community. So it's very important for them. They can develop the production. They can increase, of course, their incomes.
On the one hand, a total of 50 enterprises representing 529 products from the CEMAC zone have been part of the exercise so far. On the other, the Economic Community of Central African States boasts of 36 companies and 249 goods under the same program.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
And of course, let's talk about the fight against COVID-19 in Cameroon. Health professionals in the south region of Cameroon have redoubled efforts to halt the spread of the pandemic at the borders between Cameroon and neighboring countries. To know more about the measures put in place by health officials in the south region, let's meet Baldwin Sama, who is live at the Public Health Emergency Center with his guest, Dr. Maurice Mangaze, head of the South Health Brigade. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana, and welcome. A tour of the different regions this Saturday takes us to the south region of the country, where we go to evaluate measures put in place at the level of that region to avoid any spread of the virus between Cameroon and her neighboring countries. And our guest tonight is Dr. Maurice Mangaze. He is the head of the Health Control Brigade in the south region of the country. Dr. Maurice Mangaze, good evening.
Good evening, Sama.
Tell us, Doctor, the south region that shares boundaries with some neighboring countries, what measures have been put in place to avoid further contamination or the spread of the coronavirus in that part of the country?
Okay. In the south region, we have 3 health districts which borders with neighboring countries, notably the Ambam Health District, which borders Gabon and Guinea, Equatorial Guinea. We also have Jum Health District, which borders Congo, and we have Kribi Health District. At each border, we have border health post, and in this border health post, we have trained personnel, trained and qualified personnel, and we have all necessary which permit them to carry out healthcare activities at the borders. So we do surveillance through this border health post every day.
Given that we have this influx of the population from other countries into Cameroon and vice versa, have there been any cases of persons tested positive for COVID-19 at the borders? And what has happened with these persons tested positive?
Okay, since the beginning of the pandemic, we have already tested about 2,300 persons which entering our territory. So, and we registered 3 cases, 3 confirmed cases, 1 case at in the Kiosi, 1 case in Mintom, that is at the Jum Health District, and we also register 1 cases at Kribi, and all these cases has been managed according to national guidelines. So we register 3 positive cases at borders through border health post.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maurice Mangaze. You are the head of the Health Control Brigade in the south region of the country, Benin Bumagana. That's the situation in the south region. We continue our tour of the regions tomorrow, Sunday, as we take you over to the far north region of the country. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
And thank you very much, Baldwin Sama van Kemen. Let's talk about school resumption now. Few weeks to the start of the new school year, suppliers of didactic material say they are very equipped to meet the need of customers. So far, parents and students have started visiting bookshops and supermarkets to buy the needed items for back to school. Gerard Nanji Eyambe brings us this report from the field.
This is the Yaoundé Central Market, Saturday, September 19, 2020, and it is business as usual. Parents are in a mad rush to purchase their children's needs for back to school.
We are getting new stocks and reducing prices to enable our customers purchase all what their children need.
This section of the store is designed to accommodate a larger number of customers. Exercise books and other school supplies are on display.
We don't have enough textbooks at the moment to satisfy our customers. Within the week, we receive a consignment of primary and secondary textbooks. Textbooks are not always there on time. The problem is not us, but the suppliers. For my child who is in an English school, I have bought almost all the textbooks. But for the others, I still have difficulties to have theirs.
Parents are, however, hoping that before classes fully resume on October 5, the shelves would have been stocked with all the prescribed textbooks.
With just 2 weeks to go, campuses are receiving a fresh coat of paint as parents and guardians hustle for admission for their kids. Government's prescription is for the admission of a limited number of persons per class. Ewane Pole reports.
Renovation work is currently going on in schools and colleges in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, ahead of the reopening date for the coming academic year 2020-2021.
First of all, to renovate everything and give an educational environment. You can see how they are walking around, putting pen everywhere, and mostly we have laid emphasis on this year on the toilet. It's very necessary for kids. We are talking now with parents so that they should make the mask to be available for the junior one. That also the gel, we have asked the parent also to make sure that the gel hydroalcoholic should be available for their children.
Parent-Teachers Association meetings are also being organized, while the registration of pupils and students is going on, with principals and head teachers respecting government's prescriptions of admitting a limited number of students per class.
And some young holidaymakers in Kolmetet, Nyong and So Division, who embarked on a holiday activity have received payments for work done. During the closing ceremony chaired by the mayor of Kolmetet, Josephine Solange Anabambarga, the 70 youths were called upon to use the money to handle their back-to-school expenses. Victor Siga tells us the story.
69 youth compensated for effectively taking part in a clean-up campaign holiday organized by the mayor of Committed, Nyong and So Division of the Central Region. The move was intended to help the youth shun deviant activities during vacation while waiting for the resumption of the new academic year.
What I want to tell to the youth of our young community is to work. We can't develop our country with lazy boys or lazy girls. The place we deserve, we have to work and to work hard.
The financial assistance given them is destined to purchase didactic material. For their part, the beneficiaries have lauded the initiative while promising to participate in a similar campaign next holidays, if organized.
The elective General Assembly of the Islamic Cultural Association of Cameroon has called on Muslims to shun any barbaric acts which constitute a mayhem to public peace and order. The call was made today in Yaoundé during the installation of the new Executive Bureau. Victor Siga again.
Saying no to any insurrection, no to any disorder, and yes to patriotism. This was one of the many issues raised during the elective General Assembly of the Islamic Cultural Association of Cameroon, ICAC.
Well, we pray God. Man, we there for inside bush. He may come out back. President talk for you say, if he come for outside, then go pardon him. All three the pass for Cameroon will be here. We want to go help them. No way for go.
The new president of the association, Idi Mama and his crew are tasked with inculcating these state values in the heart of Muslim communities, encourage education of more Muslim girls, and promotion of Islamic values.
I expected from the Executive Bureau to be united. Not Hausa, no Fulbe, no North, no South, no East, no East. We are all Cameroonian.
The new bureau is to serve for 4 years, while members meet next year for 2021 General Assembly.
In our book review this weekend, we read Emmanuel Pondy's book, Cheikh Anta Diop, Dans la sphère des relations internationales. The 197-page book highlights the contribution of the famous African scientist in an African reawakening. Natasha Lehman read through the book for the 7:30 News.
The Diop School of Thought, initiated by the famous African scientist Cheikh Anta Diop, is the core of the book. It serves as an inspiration for young Africans to copy and strive for the development of the continent. The author, Professor Emmanuel Pondy, reawakens the feeling of admiration for the proponents of positive change in the attitude of Africans. The 197-page book, written in 6 chapters, highlights the major contributions of the Pan-Africanists in the field of international relations. Chapter 2 of Cheikh Anta Diop dans la sphère des relations internationales, loosely translated as Cheikh Anta Diop in the sphere of international relations, revisits how the environment of his youth influenced the works and training of the Senegalese scientists. The author urged adults to dig further into Africa's rich cultural diversity to boost African development with the respect and dignity it deserves. The contribution of the Major Sheikh Anta Diop in the field of international relations is also celebrated by the Vice Rector in charge of studies in the University of Yaoundé too.
And it's with our report that we come to the end of this edition of the 7:30 News. Thank you very much for watching. Atabadunoma will be here at 8:30 for the news. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing